So I'm back to do a little life update and share some thoughts about what has been on my mind lately. A little bit, not too much. First thing I want to say is that I started working on the rewriting of the fiction book. I started. The copy editor is helping me with that, and it's such a blessing to have people who are not only interested but also enthusiastic about working on your text with you. I really recommend that kind of dynamic, because writing a book can be so difficult and humiliating and etc. that to get to a stage where you actually have feedback and support is just the best. So I'm really excited about that. I've been also meeting with cinematographers and screenwriters to somehow get in conversation and get in touch about possibly turning some of my fictional work into scripts. And that I'm also very excited about. So it's mostly conversation for now, but I hope it really leads to somewhere specific and interesting. And in the meantime, and in the midst of all of this, I'm also preparing PhD applications, which I would like to pitch my topic of interest, but maybe that's for another time. Because I have two topics in mind at the moment, and they're very different. And I have a preference for the second one, and yet every time I pitch it to supervisors and institutions, they all like better the first one. So I have yet to decide if I follow my gut or if I follow, let's say, a more strategic move towards what they want me to research. Difficult to tell. I guess I have to figure that out somehow. Okay. So, I'm sorry, I think there's some noise outside. I'm not sure you can hear. Okay. I can hear it. Let's just sit in silence while it passes. I think it's over. Yeah. Okay, cool. Never mind. Is it over? Okay, where did I stop? Okay, yeah. So now that this small update has been displayed, and now that I'm in the process, of like applying for all those things, meeting the editors, getting funding, meeting the screenwriters, the cinematographers, etc., I think more and more about how the myth of doing things alone is a lie that needs to disappear. It's really a myth that we don't need. And I have inherited myself from that tale, I think probably from like the boomer generation. This idea of like being a self-made, either you were a writer, a musician, a thinker, a CEO, like whatever. Probably also a little bit from like American ideology. And the more I grow as like a person, a woman, and a thinker, the more I'm realizing this is absolutely nonsense, because the number of people it takes to make anything work and the number of people it takes for you to feel supported enough to embark on a project is crazy. And this can be seen and experienced in any project, right? Like, I think a lot of people have probably realized how nothing comes out of Earth because of the energetical power of one human being. But that seems a little bit, logic. And yet I think that in the artistic and intellectual sphere, there's this long lineage and history of like this talented genius, which I also experienced or like was told about in art school, you know, with this like white cube, kind of like star-like figure of like a genius artist or thinker, which is very weird. Like, why would you entertain that idea in the mind of people, then rendering them feeling sad or disappointed about themselves because they just can't manage, because they think it's all about them, when actually it was never about them. It was about privilege, it was about luck, it was about your support structure, it was about your network, it was about your ability to demand help. It was about all of these things. So I received a little bit of that lineage of this myth, although I never really believed in it, somehow. And the fact that it's being currently deconstructed in many scenes, but also just in people's conversation, I find very exciting. And of course, there's situation in life where this renders, you know, more clearly. When you make a movie, of course, you need a lot of people. When you make, you know, you design a building, you need a lot of people. When you want to create an album, you need a lot of people. But it's interesting to see yet how, you know, society is always focused on this kind of like one individual narrative about success stories. And that being said, it's true. Some people are, you know, miracles. But most of us aren't miracles. And I think it's cool to acknowledge that like you need a lot more than yourself to get things done. And I want to take the example here of like writing a book, for example. Writing a book is a very, very lonely activity. And yet to actually even get to write or find the motivation to write or feel the courage to continue writing, you need a lot of support. You need perhaps loving people around you. You need people who believe in you. You need, and you know, let's not undermine those kind of things, because we perhaps have all experienced how being in a toxic work environment, toxic relationship, or toxic friendship drains the life out of you in ways that you literally cannot move a finger. So let's appreciate the fact that a loving, caring, and optimistic environment for the things that we're doing is also detrimental. And that renders that you do not do anything alone, like not even writing a book. Of course, it takes self-discipline, but I'm sorry, like I've been proven times and times again that everything I have been given the possibility to do or publish or show was through a constellation of helpful people, helpful comments, helpful feedback, helpful support structure. And of course, on a day you get a Nobel Prize or an Oscar, you're not going to list all of those people. I mean, you could though. But I think I'm just very excited when I see more and more conversation around those sort of acknowledgements, because I think it just renders creative practice and intellectual practices as just part of an ecosystem and not based on a mythology of a talented genius that just manage on their own. And mind you, there's some of them, that's true, but it's just really not the majority. And so in that light, that's also what I'm hoping to share here by just updating a little bit the things I'm doing and how I'm working. It's just to really not build this like secrecy vitrine of like, well, yeah, I just did this. No, like things take time. It takes meeting people who are equally motivated, passionate, willing to work with you. And the support, the mental support also that one needs is crazy and cannot be undermined. Like, I think this is a topic for another conversation. But for example, I'm going to publish this book soon, right, that we're editing. And it's dedicated to one of my ex. Okay. Cliché, ha. But it's not dedicated to one of my ex because... Well, it is because this person really inspired me for that story. That's true. But it's also dedicated to them because this relationship really taught me what it means to feel supported and cared for, even in the adversity of the things that I wanted to write about. So to sort of like go on a little bit with our argument, and I feel like this is a bit of a different conversation, but like I have been in relationships where it felt very difficult to be seen and supported in the argumentation I was building, because of different conflict of interest or conflict of ideologies and stuff. And I've been in relationship where people just truthfully sit down with you and just are saying, whatever you want to go into right now, I'll listen, I'll give you feedback if you want, and I'll be here. And this is beautiful. And, you know, mind you, like, I hope everybody experienced that one day, but the support, the unconditional support, even though it might not last forever, but the unconditional support that you can get at a certain key moment of your life when you are embarking in difficult moment or project is literally the core ingredient of any big and demanding project in life. I'm not saying you cannot do anything without it, because some people have also built crazy thing out of, you know, just themselves and being alone and being so enraged by what they were going through. True. But no, really, like, having people around you, it doesn't even have to be a lover that is genuinely... I saw this reel one day, and it's someone who that just got an Oscar, and they say like, please surround yourself with people who have like sparkles in their eyes when they see you, because you need to feel like you're supported. And from the moment that we acknowledge that this is a key recipe in friendship, family, anything, then the myth of the successful I made it alone becomes really obsolete. So yeah, that's just something that's been on my mind lately, specifically as I was applying for so many fundings, specifically as I was searching for so many collaborators, specifically because I'm starting to think more about doing movies in a bigger scale. You know, it's like, I need people. And not only I need people who I trust and who trust me. I need people who are willing to embark on difficult things with me. I need, you know, there's so much you need. And yeah, that really renders for me the myth of like the individual as like this one specific talented genius figure a little bit incorrect, so to say. Anyway, I'll update the world next time about what's on my mind and new updates, but that's it for today. Thank you.